Hello, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Christian.
It's a little awkward there.
I'm Matt Anderson.
I'm Ben DiBono.
And today we're going to talk about a brand new TV show called
Alphas.
It's on the Syfy network.
Is it?
It is. I watched it on Hulu, though.
So did I, so I wasn't quite sure what network it was supposed to be on.
Well, Ben, we haven't talked about it at all. I might have hinted how I felt about it, though.
Well, before we get into our feelings, why don't you give us a brief rundown of what the show's all about?
Got it all right here.
Go for it, man.
Alphas. It seems like they are a group of people who, I don't know how they gain their powers, but they have X-Men-like abilities.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up the X word.
They seem to be mutants, but they have a leader who's a doctor or
Who's
professor.
A bit like a professor.
A bit like a professor.
Yeah.
They all have special powers. They work for the government, though, it looks like. I think one of them was a former FBI agent.
I think so.
I wrote down their powers. Would you like to hear them?
Well, let's hear them.
Nina has the power to override willpower. So she says like this. We'll practice. Ben, look into my eyes. Ben, you are going to walk all the way from me that way.
Well, looking in your eyes?
No.
Oh,
you can stop now.
Wow.
And her
I would
voice.
get confused. Like, what if she didn't
Specify? I know. Okay, so that's Nina. Bill has enhanced strength. And he does this thing where he makes his brain pump up adrenaline. And it's kind of weird. And he starts to sweat immediately.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Rachel has enhanced senses. At first, I thought she only had the power to hear really well. I was like, well, that's a lame power. What are you going to do with that? What? The bad guys are coming.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being like the most powerful power.
Well, she could watch TV like almost on mute. So if she had like
That's
a
true.
roommate who wanted to get some sleep, that would be helpful.
In one scene, she goes to her room and like her enhanced senses see like.
Yeah, but what's weird is
Stuff.
that when she's using her enhanced senses, she like, blocks out all her other senses.
Yeah, that's the thing. We'll have to talk about
Okay.
something. Well, I guess we can just bring it up now. I'll read through the rest of these guys in a minute, but they said something interesting, which is that every alpha has some sort of weakness tied to their power.
Right.
So Rachel
Then we
loses
get-
her ability to hear when she's using her senses.
Yeah.
Bill, who is the super strong guy, can only
Unless
be...
she's using her hearing sense.
Yeah, then I don't know what happens. That would be the worst. I can't hear.
I'm using it as best I can!
Bill can only use his power for 5 minutes, and then it looks like he's about to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I don't know what Nina's bad side is, so we'll find out.
She's kind of an unlikable individual.
Yeah. Gary, we'll talk about Gary. He sees electromagnetic waves.
But he's also autistic.
He is. And so maybe is that his downside? I don't know.
I think so.
That he got that because of his power?
Who knows?
I don't know. Okay, and the leader, Dr. Lee Rosen, who is a psychologist?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know who else was in it? Leobin from Battlestar.
He was?
He was Don, like the kind of cranky FBI agent who Dr. Rosen talked to.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I like that guy. So, those are the characters.
Yeah, so are we going to spoil or not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is a spoiler. This is only for the pilot. We're reviewing just the pilot.
Should we maybe give a couple thoughts before we get into spoilers? Just in case somebody's watching and they just want to get our general opinion?
Yeah, I hated it.
I would give it 3 out of 5.
Oh, I would give it 1 to 2, but I'll give it 2 because I am willing to watch more. So it must mean I didn't hate it so much. So, 2.
Okay. So, now we'll get into some spoilers. What didn't you like, Matt? Besides everything.
Besides everything, I didn't like the story. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like... They didn't set up anything to entice me to want to come back.
It was kind of boring.
It was boring.
Yeah.
I actually, just to be honest, during some parts, I was watching on Hulu, and I was having some buffering issues, so I was actually having to sit at the computer to watch it, and I was browsing the internet while listening to some of
Yeah, I was doing Greek homework while I was watching
Yeah,
it,
so
we weren't the most focused of individuals.
But I would have been focused if it was good. It just wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Let's see. You talk for a second while I looked at my notes.
Yeah, you mentioned you didn't like the characters. There's really...
Oh, we missed one. Cameron,
Oh,
the guy who was like a marksman, but his power was called hyperkinesis.
Yeah. So for the most part, the characters, in my opinion, were either unforgettable or unlikable.
Unforgettable or forgettable?
Unforgettable. Or, wait,
You want to be...
I forgot them.
Yes.
So the other one.
Yes.
Forgettable or unlikable.
Here's something weird they did. They made 2 of the main characters of the show, Cameron and Bill, who I believe are going to be part of the main team.
I think
they
so.
were both villains in the first episode. Well, Cameron, they were both brainwashed, but still, they had to stop their own team. Like, you don't want to do that in the pilot. That's like in the middle of the season, one of your good characters gets brainwashed and it's interesting, but in the first episode, we don't care about these characters. You can't make them bad guys right away.
Yeah. I think maybe that leads to the other part that we didn't talk about as far as why they were bad guys, is that there's also bad alphas out there.
Well, let's talk about this. Do we know yet how alphas exist?
No.
I think they were part of the government, maybe?
There's some other leader, though, who's maybe a bit like Magneto out there.
You know that?
We don't know, but they talked about how there's somebody else there's bad alphas out there, and they talked about that.
The Ghost, was he a bad alpha? The guy that had the weird hand thing that touched people and made them do things?
Yeah, I think he was a bad alpha.
He had like the identical power to one of the other characters?
Yeah.
Okay.
But his works through touch.
Oh, good point.
So, yeah.
So, I don't know.
The show was really boring.
It was boring.
It was forgettable. It's like a X-Men ripoff, but without all of the cool, exciting stuff that makes X-Men so fun to watch.
And yeah, I think they were trying to make some parts funny that weren't funny. Like, I think they wanted Gary, the autistic kid, to be funny.
Yeah.
And he was not funny.
I didn't find him funny, but he was like the one part of the show. Him and Dr. Rosen were the two characters that I found really intriguing on the show. I think they could do some really interesting stuff with Gary and the Doc.
So Bill, the strong guy, at first, he wasn't unlikable, but he wasn't likable. I mean, he was nothing.
Yeah.
But then, after one of the characters pointed out he has some problems with boundaries, then they made him progressively more unlikable. Did you notice that? It was like his character actually changed in the middle of the pilot.
And that to me just felt like bad writing. It didn't feel natural. It just felt like, oh, we have to give him a negative characteristic, so now he has problems with boundaries. So now at every opportunity with a boundary, he will do the bad thing.
Eating her cupcake.
Right. And
muffin.
just really lame stuff. The other thing I found boring is that, like, did you notice that when they pull up to the police building, we have to spend 30 seconds for them looking for change in their pockets for the parking meter?
Yeah, I don't know what the point of that was.
I think they were trying to give the show a realistic feel that, oh, they're in the real world, so they need to find change. But it was really boring listening to characters. Do you have enough change? Anyone got a quarter? This is not great drama, people.
I thought they were going to have Gary, who sees electromagnetic waves, do something to the machine and just be like, it's cool.
Yeah.
But no, they literally just
I don't think you can control electromagnetic.
It would have been cool if they could, though.
Yeah. The other thing is that, like, when they just walk into the police station, I know that eventually, is it Nina who controls stuff?
Yeah.
She uses her powers to take away the one guard, but they, like, get all the way to the interrogation room without anyone stopping them, and they're in street clothes. If they work for the government, give these guys some credentials and just get them in there.
Yeah, they do not have badges, because when, I think when Nina later at the hotel held up some sort of thing.
Badge.
Yeah, it was just something fake. So, do they work for the government? Because I think, are we supposed to believe that they are housed out of a bowling
I think they're
alley?
supposed to be an unofficial. They're not. They're
right next to the bowling alley?
I know it's confusing because there's a lot of shots of the bowling alley.
Like they focus on that, and then all of a sudden we're in an office building.
Yeah, so they're in the office building right next to the bowling alley.
That's very strange. Like, why? What's the point of that? So, Ben, are you going to watch episode 2?
Yeah, I liked it enough. Let me put it this way. I didn't really care for the pilot, but I think there's potential here. I want to give it another episode or two to develop and see if they can... There's a couple characters that were interesting, see if they can make the other characters a little more interesting, see if the acting gets a little bit better, see if the writing and dialogue gets better. I won't stick around if it doesn't improve in the next couple episodes, but I'll give it another show or two.
I almost don't want to watch the next episode, but I will, for your sake, fans.
Are we going to do another review?
We don't have to, but if it ends up getting better, then we can.
Yeah.
They said the word red flag. I think that has something to do with Alpha. That's the only mystery bit that they put in there to make us wonder more. And I guess we don't really know where the Alphas came from.
Mystery bits are only as interesting as your characters. In
Yes.
other words, if you don't have good characters and good writing, the mystery stuff doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can throw in all the intriguing mysteries you want, but if you don't care about the characters, it's not going to work. That's why Lost worked so well.
Speaking of Lost, I was just about to bring it up, as usual, and I believe that the director of this pilot was Jack Bender, who was one of the main directors for Lost. So that's a plus to me, but I don't...
That doesn't really mean anything, though, because in a
story
TV
has to
show, it's so much more about the entire environment of the writing staff and the production. Like, take Buffy, for instance. I love Buffy, but there's a lot of directors who've gone on from Buffy and have just really not done much of anything. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Battlestar.
Okay.
I think that one of their main directors, I forget his name right now, he directed the miniseries and tons of their episodes. Okay. He also did the movie Queen of the Damned, which is supposed to be really, really horrible.
Okay.
And he's pretty much had nothing worthwhile in the rest of his career, but he was awesome on Battlestar. So I think with stuff like that, it's more about the environment of the production of the show itself than it is the individual talent of the director.
So I think in conclusion we're saying, check it out, but don't expect too much. It might end up being horrible.
I would say if you if you have extra time in your life, check it out. Otherwise, stick around, read some reviews of the next couple episodes, see if it gets better, and if it doesn't look like it's getting better, skip it.
You know what? Sci-Fi Network, though, has a history of allowing shows to continue even though they're not good.
Yeah, except Battlestar.
Yeah, I know, Battlestar.
Caprica.
I'm talking about in general.
Right.
There's shows that are not that good that they give a chance to. And even Battlestar, it was good, but they really gave it a lot of...
That's true. The ratings were never amazing.
Yeah, so... Well, I'm sure this will be around for like 4 years.
Season 20 of Alpha's coming right up.
So that's all from here. I'm Matt
In this episode, Bill eats a cupcake.
I'm Benji Bono, and we're the Sci-Fi Christians. Signing off.